Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjo Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjo Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Radhe.
Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava,
Jaya Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Radhe.
Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava,
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Vishnupada Paramahamsa Pri Vrajagacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Silaboy Charan Arvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Nanta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi BT Founder Charya's Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada Ki. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Taksuranmiritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Dalita Sri Vishakanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyayivasya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee of the Lord, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Idam Bhagavatam Namaha
Puranam Brahma Samhitam
Puranam Brahma Samhitam
Uttama Shloka Charitam
Uttama Sloke Charitam
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Nishreya Sayalokasya
Nisheshaya Lokasya
Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat.
Dhanyam Sasyayanam Maha.
This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Sridham Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda
Sri Advaita
Shri
Gadadhara,
Advaita Gadadhara
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Sri Gaura Bhakta
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna Hare
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 Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Surabhyaya Namaha,
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha,
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha,
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Mukam karoti vasalam pangom langayate girim yatkripat bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yatkripat bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. We are continuing first canto, chapter 8, prayers by Queen Kunti, and let's see, which
That's
verse?
Back.
Oh, I thought it was mine. I have one similar, and it works different. Okay. Which number we have?
14.
1, 4, 14. Okay. 1, 4. Antastaha sarva bhutanam atma yogeshvaro harihi sva mayaya vrinod garbham vairatyah kuru tantave Antasta sarvabhutanam Atma yogeshvaro harihi
Atma Yogeshwaro Harihi
Swamayaya vinodagarbham
Samaya Vinodagarbham
Vairatya kurutantave
Vairatya Kurutantave
Antasta sarvabhutanam
Antasta sarvabhutanam
Atma Yogeshvaro Harihi
Atma Yogeshwaro Harihi
Samayaya Vrinodagarbham
Samayaya Vinodagarbham
Vairatya Kurutantave
Vairatya Gurutantave
Antasta sarvabhutanam
Antasta sarvabhutanam
Atma Yogeshvaro Harihi
Atma Yogeshwaro Harihi
Samayaya Vrinodagarbham
Samayaya Vinodagarbham
Vairatya Kurutantave
Vairatya Gurutantave
Antasta sarvabhutanam
Antasta sarvabhutanam
Atma Yogeshwaro Hari
Atma Yogeshvaro Harihi
Swamayaya Pruno Garbham
Samayaya Vinodagarbham
Vairatya Kurutantare
Vairatya Kurutantave
Antasta sarvabhutanam
Antasta sarvabhutanam
Atma Yogeshwaro Harihi
Anta Yogeshvaro Harihi
Samayaya Vinodagarbham
Samayaya Vinodagarbham
Vairattah Kurutantave
Vairatya Kurutantave
Anantasta sarvabhutanam
Antasta sarvabhutanam
Atma Yogeshwaro Harihi
Atma Yogeshvaro Harihi
Swamayaya Prunodgarbham
Samayaya Vinodagarbham
Vairatya Kurutantave
Vairatya Kurutantave Antastaha
Antastaha
being within
being within
Sarva
Sarva
all
all
Bhutanam
Bhutanam
of the living beings
all the living being
Atma
Atma
soul
soul
Yoga Ishvaraha
Yogeshwaraha
the Lord of all mysticism
the Lord of all mysticism
Harihi
Harihi
the Supreme Lord
the Supreme Lord
Swamayaya
Samayaya
by the personal energy
by the personal energy
Avrinot
Avinod
covered
covered
Garbham
Garbham
embryo
embryo
Vairatyaha
Vairataha
Avuttara
Aputtara
Kurutantave
Gurutantave
for the progeny of Maharaj Kuru.
for the progeny of Maharaj Guru.
Translation purport by His Divine Grace C.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
The Lord of Supreme Mysticism, Sri Krishna, resides within everyone's heart as the Paramatma. As such, just to protect the progeny of the Kuru dynasty, he covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy. Kindly repeat after me. The Lord of Supreme Mysticism,
The Lord of Supreme Mysticism,
Sri Krishna,
Sri Krishna,
resides within everyone's heart
resides within everyone's heart
as the Paramatma.
as the Paramatma.
As such,
As such,
just to protect
just to protect
the progeny of the Kuru dynasty,
progeny of the dynasty,
he covered the embryo of Uttara
he covered the embryo of Uttara
by his personal energy.
by his personal energy.
Purport. The Lord of Supreme Mysticism can simultaneously reside within everyone's heart or even within the atoms by his Paramatma feature, his plenary portion. Therefore, from within the body of Uttara, he covered the embryo to save Maharaj Parikshit and protect the progeny of Maharaj Kuru of whom King Pandu was also a descendant. Both the sons of Dhritarashtra and those of Pandu belonged to the same dynasty of Maharaj Kuru. Therefore, both of them were generally known as Kurus. But when there were differences between the two families, the sons of Dhritarashtra were known as Kurus, whereas the sons of Pandu were known as Pandavas. Since the sons and the grandsons of Dhritarashtra were all killed in the battle of Kurukshetra, the last son of the dynasty is designated as the son of the Kurus. Translation again. The Lord of Supreme Mysticism, Sri Krishna, resides within everyone's heart as the Paramatma. As such, just to protect the progeny of the Kuru dynasty, he covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy. So this word Yogeshvara is also in the Bhagavad Gita describing the the Lord who is actually the master of all mystics. The very last verse of the Bhagavad Gita, we see Sanjay offering prayers to Yogeshwara, concluding how those who take shelter of the supreme mystic, who is the origin of all spiritual as well as material energies, will be protected by the Lord. Very difficult to understand actually Krishna's actual position. The whole Bhagavad Gita, of course, as well as the Srimad Bhagavatam, in describing the various tattvas. The Lord has 3 specific tattvas, which means subject matters that describe his very unique and glorious position. So one of them is called Shakti Tattva. Shakti Tattva has to do with Shakti, his different energies. And of course, the Lord acts in very wonderful and inconceivable ways through his different energies. This is one of the wonderful examples by which the Lord, in order to protect his beloved devotees, in particular to protect or to continue the Kuru dynasty, when this is what we are reading recently, this is what this whole chapter is about, that when the last representative of the Kuru dynasty, Parikshit Maharaj, still within the womb, in order to protect Parikshit Maharaj, the Lord covered the embryo of Mother Uttara So the Lord is, as mentioned here, not only present within the heart of all living entities, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, yes, as Paramatma, which means that he can actually direct, and he is also directing the wanderings of all living entities, but he is present inconceivably to all of us in every single atom. That means that the Lord is, there is a meaning of omnipresent. We are sitting here, but what's going on the other side of the wall, we don't know. But the Lord, through his inconceivable energies, he is present everywhere. And because he's present everywhere as Paramatma, therefore he is also omniscient, isn't it? Just like people who have, let's say, factories, or even in people's homes now, they have televisions just, to know what's going on in the different parts of the factory. And so they can see, this is like a small version of Paramatma. Very insignificant. But the Lord is present completely everywhere. So he sees, and that's why only devotees actually can become more and more, that is the meaning of devotee. As one becomes purified in consciousness, one becomes aware of the absolute presence of the Lord everywhere, and therefore we cannot hide anything from the Lord. We may hide so many things from our friends or from relatives or whatever, but Krishna knows the heart and the mind and the activities of all living entities, and he is actually directing the wanderings. As explained in the Bhagavad Gita, he gives knowledge, remembrance, as well as forgetfulness to all living entities. So Krishna is very, in his recent means 5,000 years ago, incarnation, where he was seemingly acting like an ordinary human being. He he interacted. That is one of the reasons, actually, that the Lord appears to give pleasure to his devotees, isn't it? And therefore, that is the very unique and special feature, which is only understandable by those who accept and who have some even little understanding of the personal features of the Lord, or that God is a person. He's not just some far away, removed something, because most people have a very vague, very incomplete, very imperfect understanding of the Supreme Lord. But Krishna is actually, Sridham Sarva Bhutanam. He resides within the heart of all living entities, and he is our best friend and best wisher. And actually, those who are his followers, his devotees, Titikshava Karunika, Suridam Sarvadehinam, they are also meant to develop these same qualities of the Lord, being very tolerant, especially in Kali Yuga, understanding the fallen conditions of, practically speaking, all living entities, simply overwhelmed by the influence, the heavy presence of the modes of material nature. That is a special feature of Kali Yuga, extremely difficult for the general mass of people to understand even simple things, isn't it? We are so unqualified in Kali Yuga. But the Lord, out of His compassion and mercy, is following, is with actually all of the living entities. He follows them in even in all kinds of abominable species that they may be taking, and engaged in all kinds of activities which are just like the example Prabhupada gives, of course. You know, the life of a hog is very very degraded type of activity, filthy, unclean, etc. But the Lord is still there as the ever well-wisher. Prabhupada would sign his letters when writing to his disciples, your ever well-wisher. So Krishna is known, we read that, I think, Bhaktavatsala, isn't it? He is very anxious to to interact with his devotees, and he's ready to break. We were reading this also a few days back. He's ready to break his promise that he will not take weapons to actually protect his devotees. So this is what is being described here. And to become a devotee actually means to become more and more conscious, and therefore to become more and more appreciative, to appreciate more and more that the Lord is there actually to to guide and to care for His devotees. So this is nicely explained in our by our Vaishnavacharyas. All of the different aspects, both of the Lord and that is called Krishna Tattva, and then Jiva Tattva. They're very nicely described by our acharyas, that Krishna is the Param Tattva. That is the first of the three tattvas that describe Krishna. He is, of all realities, of all truth that may be there, he is the supreme and topmost reality. And everything else actually originates from him. And in addition to being the Param Tattva, he is, in connection with this exhibition of mysticism, he is a supreme mystic. He is the origin and the controller of all different energies. So he is Shaktiman, and that is the second Tattva, Shaktiman. And he displays primarily his energies through what our acharyas described as the Bahiranga Shakti and Tatastha Shakti and Antaranga Shakti, all of which are very deep subject matters in themselves, isn't it? And then he is what is awaiting all of us, which of course Krishna exhibits, especially when he appears in his original a Shamachandra form as he did 5,000 years ago, the whole dimension of what is called rasa. Therefore, he is known, one of the descriptions of Krishna, he is Rasaraj. And then this tattva that is described is Rasa Samudra. Rasa Samudra, he's an ocean of transcendental mellows. And all of us, actually, all living entities, in all species of life, but especially in the human species of life, that is, as human beings, that's when and where those rasas can actually become awakened, awaken on the actual eternal platform, transcendental platform, because it is only within the human form of life that we have that access of going beyond our otherwise very limited and very frustrating level of incomplete or imperfect consciousness, isn't it? So rasa samudra. So like this, these literatures, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, is opening the doors, is giving us what's the word? Is giving us some perspective, some opportunity to understand how Krishna, who is that personality Krishna, and how he interacts with his, especially close associates, because all the members of the Kuru dynasty, which is being referred to here, were very intimate, very close, especially the Pandavas. Krishna had different relationships. He considered Yudhishthira Maharaj as his superior because he was the king. He was older as well. Yudhishthira and Bhima, whereas Arjuna was of the same age as Krishna, so he had a friendly relationship with him. And Sahadev and Nakula, Sahadev and Nakula, they were actually younger than Krishna. So, so this is what is being described here briefly. Any thoughts on this? Yes.
Guru Maharaj, about Aswatthama, why he has put in that situation to destroy the embryo of Mother Uttara. Although he is the son of Dronacharya, very learned Brahman.
Yes.
Why he has put into that situation means to destroy the embryo of Mother.
Well, the whole battle of Kurukshetra was fought on the basis of destroying the enemy because of Yudhishthira Maharaj and the Pandavas. They were upholding the principles of dharma, and personalities like Duryodhana, they could not properly understand dharma, and of course Ashwatthama was siding with Duryodhana, and therefore the whole battle of Kurukshetra was to actually annihilate the opposing party. When there's a war, then justified war, then the purpose is to destroy the enemy. So Ashwatthama being negatively influenced understood that actually he had already killed the 5 sons of Draupadi, and he knew that, well, he wanted to annihilate or stop the dynasty, and the person representing was actually the child within the womb of Uttara. So therefore, in his demoniac way of thinking, he was. That's why he released the Brahmastra weapon, and part of that was to actually destroy the child within the womb of Uttara. Because he was of that nature, because he was
associated with Duryodhana and all.
Well, yeah, by everything is based on association. When we associate with those who are of impure consciousness, then our consciousness also becomes impure. And that's one of the very basic and fundamental teachings in the Bhagavad Gita, that depending on the modes of material nature to which we relate to or associate with, then karanam guna sangasya sadasat. Yeah. So the reason is the reason for us taking different forms or different species of life, accepting different species of life, or for the reason for acting in this way or that way. The example of Ashwatthama, why Ashwatthama, is because he had he allowed himself, although the son of a Brahmana, he allowed himself to be influenced negatively. So that means that, we have the example of Ajamil. Ajamil was also born in a Brahmana family. That means he must have attended Gurukula also, because he became distracted. He left Brahminical culture as a young man, isn't it? He was already married. He was married as a young person, a young married man, and then he became allured by a prostitute, and practically the rest of his life he engaged in all kinds of sinful activities. Of course, because he had performed pious activities, he was saved at the last moment, isn't it? So, therefore, the Vedic culture stresses so much the need and the importance of good association. I mean, that's the whole reason and purpose why, for example, Srila Prabhupada established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, to provide this type of good association. And of course, it's up to each and every one of us. Every single individual is responsible Prabhupada would give the example, those who are learning how to fly, well, they first, are in some place on the ground where they have, they're sitting in the cockpit of what is like an airplane, and they learn from there. But once they actually go on their first flight, they're by themselves. They have to fly their own airplane. So similarly, all of us individually, we have to take responsibility for our lives, and and that is very much dependent on this whole aspect of proper association. We should take advantage of the facilities that are provided, that Srila Prabhupada has provided, and therefore the importance of association of devotees, which is nicely explained, of course, by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Nectar of Instruction, isn't it? Upadesamrita.
In this regard, I learned that a person is not just black or white, but a person have free will to side with black thought or white thought or associated with.
A lot of shades in between.
Yeah. So our heart is like a crystal which is taking the color of which is came nearby.
Yes.
So I think Ashwatthama in this period of his life was choosing not correctly, but he could choose in different way. So the big question is that in this pastime, Ashwatthama have no interest what he did practically, because he was not against the Kuru dynasty. He did some heavy things for Duryodhana, who was also a kind of Kuru, but also he did some actions to Pandavas when it was the time when he was not so much influenced. He was respecting the Pandavas in one way, and I think here we need to understand also that maybe Krishna needed someone to act so widely that no one can protect, just only him, to show his ultimate nature of protective person. So if there is no such action, when someone only be protected by superhuman power or superhuman power, then we don't know how Krishna is capable to act when he wants to act. In the material world, Krishna doesn't want to act practically. He is just keeping back himself most of the time.
Yeah, well, similar thought is there, similar example is there in the pastimes of Krishna and Vrindavan, because he kills all kinds of demons in very supernatural, extraordinary, mysterious
He never used any weapon.
Yeah, right.
He used
Right. Yes, because
his own body.
Yeah. Yes, so at different times, situations are created where, as you mentioned, Krishna displays his transcendental nature, which which other people actually cannot so easily, or not only cannot easily, just don't have that type of energy or power, and that's what distinguishes Krishna from all other living entities, and what is meant to be an impetus for us to take shelter of that supremely powerful personality, who is in one of the Nectar Devotion series lectures. Srila Prabhupada mentions how, sometimes people will offer their help or their assistance or their protection, but nobody in the material world can actually protect.
Doctors.
Yeah, right. Even the best physician and whatnot. But when Krishna, as he explains in the Bhagavad Gita, that Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam saranam praja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami masuchaha. That if whoever actually surrenders unto me, fully surrenders unto me, then I will protect that individual. Protect the individual is not necessarily always physical protection, isn't it? There are so many examples of personalities. Of course, Prahlad Maharaj is exceptional because Krishna did physically protect him, but there are many examples of fully surrendered souls, but who may not physically be protected. But protection of the Lord means that the relationship that we establish with the Lord, that becomes an eternal asset actually to the living entity who's actually surrendered to the Lord, and that the Lord maintains or keeps, and that is what is the most important, of most importance, for us. So the element of protection, yes, is we all know, especially in the human, well, even in other species of life, in lower species of life, animals, for example, are always exhibiting fear because they don't know when somebody or some other entity, animal, can ultimately kill them or destroy them or whatever. But they are helpless because they don't. Who is there to actually protect them? But as human beings, we can develop this this understanding that that Krishna is there, and he displays, as he is doing in this particular pastime, his very inconceivable powers and energies, and he is one who really deeply understands this aspect of the Lord's protection, this aspect of the Lord's being our real and eternal friend and well-wisher, then, isn't it, one becomes undisturbed, or one becomes fearless, isn't it? Those who are fully surrendered souls, they develop this conviction of feeling and experiencing a full shelter by being under the care of Krishna.
For me, the most amazing protective action of Krishna when he came as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when his own brother was attacked and really endangered, means, his Supreme Person, Lord Nityananda, but also someone wanted to kill him.
Right.
And that person, when surrendered, he protected him such a way that he became a best devotee.
Yes.
So that's really the amazing protective action from Krishna.
Yes.
So, because here we see that Sva Mayaya was mentioned.
Mm.
I was thinking that's not clear here. Maybe some acharyas explained that what does it mean here, Sva Mayaya, what kind of internal energies used or asked Krishna to protect the embryo.
Mm.
This looks like a little bit also mystery as thought of which kind of Maya protected here the embryo. Anyway, it is not so important, just remind me that Krishna has some energies which we cannot really understand.
Well, ultimately, his internal potency is above all other energies, isn't it? So, by his personal spiritual energy, he could counteract the the assault of Aswatthama.
I heard that maybe that was Sudarshan
Mm.
who covered.
Yes, well, I think, is it not mentioned?
No.
We didn't mention.
I have some memories.
Right
Some
there.
close.
Yeah.
But one other thought that is that when we have difficulties to declare or define someone's real character, as you mentioned, that very difficult to understand for a person who we are, who is Krishna, how great Krishna is. We say great, but how great is he? So then we turn to some expert. And that expert is which searched for by Narada Muni, who is the most expert to know Krishna, and they are the gopis. And when the gopis explain who is Krishna, they sing this song of Bhagavatam. So I think that we can understand Krishna through their explanation as a song. And then we can, meditate on that words.
Yes.
Krishna have 4 very specific qualities, which is over any Narayan form of any other forms, and only the gopis have understood. That's 4 special characters, and that gopis again came as a male form with Lord Chaitanya, so we can study their verse, their books, and their descendants' books, like Prabhupada, and then we can understand by heartfully Krishna. So the same gopis like Rupa Goswami and others are explaining who is Krishna and how he protects living entities. So I think this is the way we can get some glimpse and then we have hope. So
Yeah. There are so many literatures that especially have been given to us by the Goswamis of Vrindavan, and who, with that deal with the very very deep subject matter, which we in different descriptions and different pastimes that we hear, we get some glimpse, just like Prabhupada mentions how we can never no one can ever expect to fully understand Krishna, but but our goal and our objective and our attempt should be to constantly gain a more deeper understanding of Krishna and how he is truly present within each one of us, and he's really the only, ultimately the only true well-wisher. Of course, Vaishnavas are also in the same mood and mentality. That's why Vaishnavas are so important in the world to give opportunity for conditioned souls to actually revive that consciousness. But yes, there are certain literatures that even more deeply and more accurately and more in more detail
and more sweetly.
Yeah, and more sweetly describe these features and aspects of Krishna. Yeah.
I know this in this Kali Yuga we need the sweet words.
Yes, yes.
Otherwise we just influenced by this bitter Kali Yuga's atmosphere.
Yes, yes. Okay. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Gaur Premanandi Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj ki